Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Finally, it is time for the SEAD event, which has been sat in the files for a little bit. It got a few updates yesterday, and finally, Gaijin has released it as a full event. This is going to be here for the next few days, and it's basically just a test of some of the new mechanics that they're working on, which are going to be in some future modes, which Gaijin are also working on. The simple thing is, this event is only available for a few days. So it's only available from the 22nd of April until the 24th. So just 2 days. So if you want to actually get involved, you're going to have to do it pretty quickly. There's no like prizes for this event or anything like that. It is just a way of testing some game mechanics. So if you are one of those people who enjoys testing stuff, this is kind of the time to do it. You will play as AH-1Fs, F-4Es, or MiG-21s, and basically play in an asymmetric battlefield where one side is trying to defend and one side is trying to attack. The F-4s and the AH-1s are trying to destroy the S-75 areas, whereas the MiG-21s are trying to defend them. And each vehicles have their own sets of weaponry, so they will kind of come in spawned with them. And then also at the same time, you only need access to one rank 5 aircraft to be able to actually go into this event. So as long as you have that, you can give this a go and have a bit of fun. And I would honestly say it's worth giving a go. At the end of the day, you see some new stuff, and a lot of people have been asking for asymmetric warfare. A lot of people have been asking for the offensive and defensive stuff. So why not give it a go? You do actually get research, or well, at least you get SL from this. I'm pretty sure you get research too, but I don't want to say something that I don't know 100%. I'm pretty sure it says a bit lower in the article. So first of all, as I said, there are a bunch of AI-controlled S-75s and also Shilkers. When we did that video kind of showing what is ahead, that's, basically what is going on here, and it tells you what you're going to do. So with the F-4s, you have some rockets, and also you have some bombs, and you're going to destroy some of those radar systems and also missile systems. And then with the H-1Fs, you can actually sneak up and kind of do the same thing with AT-GEMs and rockets. This is one of the first times that you'll actually be able to bring helicopters alongside the planes, which is pretty cool. Usually helicopters are kind of away from the battlefield when it comes to airplane maps. Obviously, they cross over in ground forces, but this is a large-scale map where you can play both, which is kind of fun. You can also find this event in the Events tab, by the way, if that's what you're looking for. And then also, at the same time, you can play the MiG-21 BIS, which has some air-to-air armaments in order to defend the positions. Now, the first thing that has to be kind of commented on, this is a test. The whole point of it is to test the S-75s, to test the radar systems, and to test players' response from it. Obviously, winning is kind of fun, but at the same time, I really hope that players don't do what they did in the First World War event, where just 95% of people just play one side because it's stronger, because that's not the point of this kind of setup. The point of this setup is to try and test new things and see what goes on, not to try and metagame it. And unfortunately, in War Thunder, we have a real problem with a lot of people just wanting to win and metagame things instead of testing, which is why I'm always worried about these types of events. The other thing is there's no markers in this mode, so you'll have to rely on your radar, you'll have to rely on your RWR in order to tell where the enemies are. I think this is actually kind of interesting, because one of the problems with this event, which was going to be pretty obvious, was the attackers, e.g. the F-4s and the AHs, were going to be at a pretty bad disadvantage, just because they're focusing on hitting ground targets where the S-75s are going to be fighting them, and then also the MiG-21s could just turn up and bop them. So yeah, without markers, I think that's a lot better. You'll get 3 respawns, which I think is pretty good, and then also at the same time, as I said, all players with rank 5 or higher can participate in this one. The vehicles that you use in the event are automatically assigned and don't need to be purchased, so you don't have to worry about that. And then also there is a spawn cost in SL, so similar to simulator battles, but you can refund that if you actually leave the area safely. You have the safe exit zones, which is, kind of a standard thing in these modes. So if you run out of ordnance, you can go there and then reset and then go into another vehicle. And then also you'll be able to earn research points and SL by taking part in the event. So you can get RP as well as SL, which is really nice. And they talk about why not in random battles, and they give obviously quite a good reason. You don't want to screw up the natural flow of these battles, because you just don't want people to have a bad time. It's pretty much as simple as that. You don't want them to end up just getting caught in the crossfire of testing, which, yeah, putting it in its own event is the way to go. And they talk about what is the point of this event, like what are they going to do in the future. And of course, they say here they're going to be using it in World War mode. The scenario will be one of the missions in the aerial warfare operation, one of which will feature in the future in World War mode. So it looks like they're going modern once again in World War mode, which of course was horrific last time, but I'm sure they'll just do it again anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And in aerial warfare, players will only have access to aircraft, ground vehicles will be AI, and the focus will be on aerial combat and the completion of strategic objectives. So pretty much the same as what you had in World War mode anyway, where you had convoy missions or you had like attack SPA missions, same idea. Now, they do actually leave a note about anti-radiation missiles, because one of the things that you may have noticed, the F4s don't have Shrikes. They only have access to bombs and rockets. And I'm guessing the napalm stuff, because, they talked about that, or at least it was in the data mines that they were changing them. And it says, we would like to note that ARMs, or anti-radiation missiles, of the period reflected in the event were not as effective in many cases compared to their more modern counterparts. In some situations, they would simply not hit their intended targets without any mistakes from the pilot, and it would not be very clear to the player as to why the missile has missed. For this event, the combination of early SAMs versus aircraft with unguided weaponry works well and provides counteracting gameplay, so arms won't be featured in it. We understand many of you wish to see arm weaponry, and it is part of our longer-term considerations to particularly in the modern gameplay era. However, it is too early to go into further detail about this right now, so stay tuned. So basically, there's no anti-radiation missiles, and that kind of sucks. I mean, I get the idea that, oh, well, they weren't as modern, and there was a percentage chance that they would just miss and all of this stuff, but all of these variables can be programmed into games. And I'm sure people would want to at least try it instead of just being told that they would find it frustrating. So that sucks. That's kind of annoying and not very fun, but at the same time, that's just, kind of how it goes. The area that you find in the game where this is if you go to events and tournaments, you have it right here, suppression of enemy air defenses, and you can pick which side that you want. So you can either use the F-40 Phantom, you can see here it has the Zunis, it has the Sparrows, it has the AIM-9Js, and then also you have the H-1F, which has the rockets and the 20mm. For the USSR, you get the MiG-21 BIS, but one of the more interesting things that you may see here is that it is limited in terms of its armament when it has some R3Rs. I'm pretty sure it will get some other ones too that you can select, but that's at least what it says here. We're going to be streaming today. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff. So we're going to be doing the Pages of History, which is right here. We're going to be doing the Eye in the Sky, which is right here. And then also, we're going to give a go at the suppression of enemy air defenses too. So we'll see how it goes. Take part, give it a go, see what happens as always, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.